Wonderful. Welcome everybody to the Retire Well podcast. We are your hosts, Alicia Kay, Julie Lampy, and Pati Colloca Massot. We're offering a fresh and comprehensive perspective, helping you see retirement through a new lens. We are three female entrepreneurs in Central Florida who are passionate about serving the pre-retirement and post-career adult. We're so excited today to be recording our second episode and featuring our beloved Pati. She takes a deeper dive into how she got here and how she ended up in the field that she's in. And yeah, we're really thrilled to just share her with all of you. So Pati, do you want to take it away and let us get to know you a little better? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, thank you so much for, providing me that honor today to have all the spotlight, right? And talk about me. So, talk about me. Wow, where do I even begin? I feel like I have been in such a diverse and multicultural upbringing that it's really hard to have like a starting point every time when somebody asks me that question. But I think it helps people to know kind of like where I was born. So I'll start with that. How about that? So I was born in Venezuela. Caracas, Venezuela, and I moved here. I moved to Boca Raton when I was 12 years old. And
wow. So you must speak multiple languages then.
I do. I was awesome. Very lucky because I had a dad. Well, I think I've learned like 4 languages by now, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that later. So I learned Spanish. Obviously, in Venezuela, that's the language you speak, and my dad, he used to talk to me in his dialect, his Italian dialect when I was a kid. And I thought I knew Italian until I actually traveled to Italy. And I realized that maybe that's not really the proper Italian. That was Dad's dialect. So then I was motivated to learn the proper Italian. But anyway, in the midst of that, obviously I kind of, I grew up here. I went to high school here, went to college here. I went to, when I turned 21, I was like, I'm going to see the world before I turn 25. And I did it. My brother, he said, I'm going to go to Canary Islands because having that dual nationality, we were so grateful to be able to do that. He says, I'm going to go to Canary Islands and I just want to experience the world. And I said, well, you know what? I'm going with you. A year later, I went and I was supposed to do a backpacking experience for a year, and it ended up being 4 years.
I didn't know this. Julie, are you learning this for the first time? Because this is my first time learning. Wow. So were you in Canary Islands the entire time, or did you do Europe?
So I stayed in Europe. So I bounced in, I lived in the Canary Islands. I went to Norway. I loved Norway. It was so cold, by the way. I almost had my hands fully blue and frozen because I just thought, oh no, I'll be fine. Just wear gloves. I'm like, no, not really. You don't even go out when it's under 18 degrees. Anyway, lots of adventures with that. So yeah, so I just, I wouldn't say it was fully backpacking because I was really staying with friends of friends, family. My backpacking friends say, you didn't do the real thing, but whatever. We'll call it backpacking. No, it was a really cool experience because I really, I had to really get out of my comfort zone. And a lot of times, and I think this goes on with my personal growth, my journey, and having to really become resourceful. In a place where I remember living in Spain where a lot of people are like, oh no, you're not going to find a job. I'm like, really? You'll see. In a month, I'll find a job. And I went and knocked on so many doors. People look at me like, is she crazy? No, here's my resume. This is who I am. And you'll be surprised how many times people be like throwing my resume on the ground. Like, what are you doing here? You're not from here. You're not a local. And that to me, I was just I loved that challenge. I don't know. That was my thing. So that was a cool experience. So I came back and I ended up at UCF. I finished my exercise physiology degree and I met my husband and I ended up in Central Florida. Fast forward.
Wow. That's an amazing story to hear how, I had no idea about those 4 years of your life. And so you speak English, Italian, and Spanish.
That's right.
That's an amazing service to be able to offer to your clients because Central Florida is so multicultural. Oh, and yeah. I can't tell you how many times when I'm working with people wishing that I spoke Spanish, like any Spanish. So that's amazing that you're able to offer that. I would love to hear more about your, like, why this population. And I think it's a question we're all going to ask, but this is really what brought us together, right? Is our passion to serve the pre-retirement, post-career adult. So why? What is your why for serving this population?
Oh, very, very good question. That kind of puts me into like that grounded mode,
Your zone.
you know? Oh, yeah. So ever since I was 6 years old, I've been in athletics, prevention, health, wellness, and all that. And, you know, I was developing my career into personal training, fitness, exercise physiology, all that great stuff. I was working in a hospital. And I can remember that day like it was yesterday. I get this call from a random number. I knew it was from Spain because I knew it was the Spanish code or whatever. And I have this strange voice, someone I didn't know, telling me, hey, where are you? Your father's in the hospital. And I'm like, what? Yeah, he has about 6 or 7 days left. And oh my God, that was like a bucket of ice water, you know, and just realizing, oh, that's the reason why he's not answering my calls for like a week and a half. And my whole world kind of just like went upside down. And oh my God, just talking about it, I feel it again. Isn't it amazing? So anyway, so I had a conversation with my mom. My brother was actually in the UK. We all had to like, okay, what are we going to do? I immediately just dropped everything I was doing. Spoke to my boss at the time. She was super understandable. She's like, oh, go, do what you need to do. And yeah, we all met there in Tenerife. That's where my father was. And we became instant caregivers. In another language, in another country, with a whole different healthcare system, and not knowing what we were going to do. I spent so much time talking to hospital directors, hospice, doctors, oncologists. My dad was diagnosed with cancer. He had it in his throat. He was a heavy smoker. So that wasn't a huge surprise. I think it was the shock of hearing that he only had a few days left. I think that was kind of like the biggest deal, and having to become like, you know, like an instant warrior, you know? So anyway, it was a very difficult and shocking time. And, you know, after everything, we came back and I was like, man, I don't want anyone to ever have to go through something like this. And if they do, at least they'll have somebody that can just walk them through it. They might not have all the answers, but they can orchestrate and quarterback as many things as possible so they can really focus on being with their family and the family member that's passing, you know? Mm-hmm. So that is kind of like the big thing, you know, that was like my biggest, like you said the other day, that's my torch. And, you know, when I sit at a kitchen table, when I talk on the phone, I feel like I'm helping him, you know, I'm helping my dad. And obviously with my mom is also a Medicare beneficiary. And I know the way she was exposed to Medicare was kind of funny. I look back and I'm like, my God, thank God we're not doing that. That was not compliant. Just like, okay, ma'am, just sign over here. There was no presentation. There was no summary of benefits. She just signed up because she just walked into this guy at Publix. So, you know, just a lot of different things. I think God has been amazing. You know, with me, he's taken me into a direction where things just flow, and you can see how people feel the difference before and after working with us. So
that's so wonderful.
That's the engine.
Yeah, exactly. And I love some of the words you use there to describe yourself as a warrior and almost an advocate, a quarterback for your clients. And so why an independent broker? Like you talked about how your mom just like bumped into some random person at Publix, and there is so much information out there about Medicare. How do you help your clients navigate that? What makes you different?
That's very good. It's a good question. So just so I can, you know, help people understand the difference, because till this day we have questions, you know, like, okay, broker, what does all that mean? So let's talk about so we have a captive agent. What is a captive agent? And again, I want to make sure people know there's nothing wrong with not being an independent broker. Okay. Everyone has different needs. There's pros and cons for everything. So when you are working with a captive agent, usually it's an employee of a particular insurance carrier. And I have a lot of colleagues who are captive employees of a carrier. And basically what they're able to do is they're specialists, and they know those particular plans in that particular service area really, really, really well. So they can find doctors. I mean, everything they know, it's based on that service area. They're very fast with that particular plan. So the way I wanted to basically construct a business where I could add not only my health and wellness background, my psychology, my mom's a psychologist, to be able to have all that imprinted and marinate all this, right? Was being completely impartial and not ever have a particular product or anything that will come in the way from me being able to build an intentional relationship and really being able to listen. Like till this day, I just got a little text message saying, someone's like, okay, but I don't want to be pushed. I want to be listened to. And a lot of times, in certain circumstances, these people don't have the time for that, so it's a different setup, right? So I chose to be able to represent, we represent almost 14 companies, and we are not only in Central Florida, we're basically in the whole state of Florida. So we're able to help someone in Tallahassee, and I can help somebody in Miami. And we're in Ohio, Texas, New York, New Jersey. So yes, we're dealing with a whole lot more plans, more different benefits, but that's okay. I love that stuff. I love the challenge. Remember, resourceful. I might not have all the answers for you right now. I might not be the fastest, quickest agent, but I'll tell you, I'll be very intentional with them. And first, I want to get to know them. So we do a full needs analysis with them. We get to know their lifestyle, where they see themselves in a year. Are they going to be traveling? Where are their doctors? Because the last thing I want to do is disrupt their existing group of physicians or their routine, who they've been going for 20 years. Oh yeah, you want to sign up? Oh, let me bring you over here. So this is the best plan now, but then that take them away from what they've known, the one doctor that they trust for years and years and years. So to answer your question, we found that yes, it takes a whole lot more work. It takes a whole lot more effort to sustain this type of practice, but we felt like it was the best scenario for us to be able to be completely impartial for our clients.
I mean, you just hit the nail on the head, which is that you are serving the client.
Yes. So I'm very, very client-centered, and I don't care how many sales you won from me. I mean, yes, I have goals. Don't get me wrong. I'm very bold with our goals. Mom knows that. But I'm not going to have my own financial goals get in the way for what you need. You know what I mean? It's just... I can't do it. So anyway, that's what we do. But in essence, you know what? We're able to shop all these plans. We help them save time. A very interesting thing that nobody thinks about all the time is the cybersecurity part of this, or the security part. Think about this. You'll come and see Pati this year. You provide me with your Medicare number. You provide me with your social security number. You provide me with your date of birth, your address, all this information, right? And then you share that again with the next agent and the next agent and the next agent. I can't do that. I mean, because I know so much about what goes on. Obviously we're all HIPAA regulated, but yet there are breakdowns, so anyway, so think about just having one-stop shop, having that personal agent. The only person that has your Medicare number, I mean, apart from your doctors and other medical providers. So that's another thing. We've made a huge effort to make sure our computers are always, up to date, super safe, to protect people's data, especially now in such a virtual world. Mm-hmm. A lot of our seniors, pre-retirees, they don't I don't do anything on the phone. I'm like, ma'am, I'm sorry, but you cannot go to the Social Security office anymore to apply. You got to do it over the phone. So for those cases, we make adjustments. We print out the form. We'll mail it to them. So again, we're willing to adjust, but at the same time, some people are like, okay, quick. So, I mean, I just had a client who was doing DocuSign, and he was so excited he was able to do DocuSign just like he did when he purchased his home, And then we have the person that says, no, I want to support the mail. I want to support the
USPS.
Yes. I'm like, fine, I'll help you with that. No problem.
Let's put 2 stamps on there. So yeah, explain to me, how do you make money then? How does
question.
Patty, the independent broker, how do you get paid? If the client's not paying you, or is the client paying you? Clear that up for everybody.
Very good. Thank you so much for that question, because that's big. It's a big unknown for a lot of people. They're actually sometimes kind of afraid to work with us because they think, oh, is she going to charge me? I'm on a fixed income. I'm like, okay, first of all, it's illegal to charge a Medicare beneficiary directly. So the way it works is this. So each carrier, right, each plan receives federal funds for every Medicare beneficiary that enrolls in a plan, okay, per member, per month. So part of that budget goes to what is called cost of acquisition, right, for the insurance companies. That's where my commission comes in. So, and the fun part about this is that I get paid exactly the same amount, whether you go with one carrier or the other carrier. It doesn't matter because I'm contracted with all of them. It doesn't matter. I mean, I'll always do the right thing anyway, even if I was only contracted with two, but I want to be able to be fully well-versed in everything. But at the end of the day, I'm free for you. I'm at no cost to you. Like, what would you want to go directly, which is fine. Some people rather be super in charge, and I totally get it because they are, individuals like that. I don't criticize, I don't judge, but you're leaving money on the table. You could be, really having that additional set of eyes, because let me tell you right now, just, I'm studying for the national certification every year to stay on top of changes, and every single carrier has us recertify for every product. So we are constantly staying on top of the game to be able to have answers for people. So imagine trying to do that. And again, there's a Medicare.gov website. I always recommend people to use that. I'm not afraid to recommend people to use that resource. It's actually, I do a lot of education because you have the federal Medicare program. You have lots of protections that a lot of times people totally jump over. In fact, I have a joke for you guys. So if you go to my Facebook page, at one pharmacy last year, as a joke, I had 4 Medicare and You 2020 books that were delivered by my clients, making fun of it, oh, why would I read this when I got you, Patty? I was like, thank you, but you gotta keep this. This is your Bible of protection. Anything that is not, on your plan, this is your federal, stuff. You know what I mean? So anyway, I'm like, okay, fine, give it back to me. But it sounds like a joke, but a lot of people, they get the Medicare and You book and they just toss it. I'm like, oh, don't do that. So I am not afraid to spend an hour and just making sure they understand the program. Then we go to phase 2. Tell me about you, and then the shop together. I do make a big deal out of that because I want to make sure that they understand I'm not taking orders. Okay, we're doing the fact finding first before I can make a recommendation. Whether you go with my recommendation or not, that's fine. I do have to have them go through our agency so we can get credit for it. Otherwise, if you go, oh, thank you, Patty, thank you so much for your time, that's the plan I want, and they want directly, then I'm completely out of the picture. And then sometimes they don't know that. So that's why I kind of talk about it and make sure that, yes, so let me put it this way. I want them to feel that there's autonomy in what they're doing, that they are, independent. But that particular aspect of things, it will basically, I can't even call the company to help them because I'm not their agent on record. So it's to their best interest to allow me to process that for them.
They've lost their advocate when they make that decision.
Yeah. And for me to try to be there, so they think, oh, but I thought you're, so for instance, we've had cases where, they were trying to be proactive, they were trying to be independent, they go sign up with something else, and they're like, oh, but that means you're not my agent anymore? I'm like, yeah. Oh, I thought you worked for Medicare. I'm like, no, I don't work for the government. I don't work for the insurance companies. I work for you. So you and I, we have to stay together.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's kind of a long answer for a question. But
for me, it seems like such a no-brainer. It really does. It seems like, why would you not use an independent agent? Because, and I worked in healthcare for nearly 20 years, there's so much you have no conflict of interest, really.
That's a good point.
Yeah, I mean, as an independent agent, you don't have a conflict of interest. And there is, like, you've said this before, everybody kind of has an agenda in that world. The insurance companies have their agenda and the doctors have their agenda, and, reimbursements are different from different companies. And so, if you try to have you should not talk to your doctor about what insurance plan you should have. That's just probably not a good idea. Huge conflict of interest.
Thank you. Thank God you said that, not me.
Yeah. I don't think that's a good idea, but because it's a conflict of interest. Their reimbursements are different from different insurance companies. And that's why some take some and some don't take some, and some take, they say they take this one asterisk. They only take certain plans under it. So to me, it's kind of a no-brainer. And I think that there's so much misinformation, and, you have a wealth of information. And that's, one of the things that we're going to be bringing out in the webcast/podcast is the information that you have that's unbiased and unconflicted.
Yes.
Conflicted? Not conflicted? I don't know. Whatever.
Non-conflicted.
We're inventing words. I love it.
So, it's not in conflict with what is in the best interest and in the best service for the consumer. And I love that. I think for me, it's like a no-brainer. I'm like, oh, wow, I didn't know that existed even.
No, I kind of wish I was 65. Then Pati could take care of me.
That's what I just said that today. Doug and I were talking about retirement, and I was like, well, Patty's probably still going to be in business.
That's a good question. Thank you for saying that. That's another thing why they should go with me. Okay. Because I have so much skin in the game. I've put so much, I've poured so much into this company, which is our own company. I'm not just doing this for a season to see if it works out, or I'm just going to do this during open enrollment. No, we're fully vested people. So when I enroll somebody, you're part of my company. You know what I mean? And I want to keep you forever, and I want to keep you healthy. So you'll last for a very long time, that you enjoy life. And this health insurance, it's not like a blocker or a distraction in your retirement years,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Sure.
I feel like we could easily spend an hour on this because I'm already thinking of more questions, and I know Julie has family members that work with you, and that says a lot about the level of trust when your friends send their parents and grandparents to you. So, but thank you so much. I every time I get to speak to you, I learn something. So, and now our listeners and viewers have learned just the tip of the iceberg about what makes you do this. There's so much more. So we invite you all to connect with us on our YouTube channel, of course, our Facebook page, and interact with us. If there's a topic that you want to hear about in your journey to preparing for retirement, please let us know. We want to answer your questions. That's really, really important. And of course, our personal pages, I'm with Try Organizing. Julie has Paradigm Interiors, and Pati, of course, she's got it right on her shirt, COLLOCAMOTION.
Oops, sorry.
So yeah, thank you so much, everybody, for listening. Until next time, have a wonderful day.
Thank you so much, guys. Bye.